Welcome to Silicon Valley Nonprofits, a service of KMVT Community Media. I'm Bev Lenahan, your host. Today our guests are David Barnes, he's the program director for Our Daily Bread, and Chuck Thompson, board chair for Our Daily Bread. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
I love that name, Our Daily Bread. It's so basic.
That's right.
and yet so very important. We know we've been in this valley feeding people at the macro level for a very, very long time. But, you know, you get up close and personal every week. So what happens, Chuck, when you see these people face to face every week?
Well, the simple answer is we feed them every time we see them, as if it's the very first time they've come to us. Let me elaborate on that to make it more clear. In the valley, about a quarter of the people are hunger deficient. They don't know where their next meal might be coming from. And so that's a quarter of the people. That's a large number.
Yes.
And that's not a new problem. It's been long-standing. And so Our Daily Bread was launched 36 years ago, almost to the week, to address the food insecurity issue very locally. We do that by offering a free lunch Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to anybody who comes to our door. We don't ask any questions except, are you here for lunch? There is no qualification and no obligation on the part of the diner. As a result of the fact that we don't ask any questions, we don't necessarily get to know our diners that well. But we do, in fact, get to know a lot of them because we serve the meal to them at their table. They come in and sit down and have a drink and wait for the food to be served. And we have waiters and servers who bring it to their place, just like a restaurant.
All volunteers.
All volunteers, yes. David is the only non-volunteer, but he did volunteer to join us. Yes, and so they are served their meal, and through that interaction, get to know our servers and waiters. Some of them will open up and tell us something about their stories and tell us about other issues they're dealing with besides food. That's most common among our homeless people, the people from the homeless community that come to Our Daily Bread. And so almost from the beginning, we've provided extra service to them in the form of having some additional clothing items for them, some toiletries, and we give them some food to take home or take wherever they're going to tide them over between our serving days.
Yes.
Then the final step was about 10 years ago, we added a caseworker to the program.
Good.
And made her available, it was a she, to every diner who came to us, first time, last time, many times. And that worked out well, and she retired in the fall, and so our partner, Sunnyvale Community Services, stepped in and provided one of their caseworkers to come work at Our Daily Bread. And of course that brings with her, again, another female, all the resources of Sunnyvale Community Services now available to our diners. So that's the longer answer to what we do. People come one time or many times. We feed everybody as if they're there for the very first time. They may be able to get additional services depending on their needs and whether we know they need it. But the main mission of Our Daily Bread is to provide the hot lunch to everybody who comes in a warm, welcoming environment. That's the mission of Our Daily Bread.
And I think you can serve, what, about 100?
No, we are serving almost 250 today.
Oh my goodness!
We've hit
every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
My goodness.
Last month we even hit 400. So
oh my! Oh my goodness! Which turns me to you, David.
Sure.
When I first met you, I was a volunteer and really enjoyed that experience so much.
Right.
It was valuable. But I got to talk with you, and I learned a little bit about your story.
Sure.
Please share your story with our viewers.
Sure. Grew up in the Valley. Mom and dad elderly, and was caregiving for them, making it happen. trying to find a part-time position, doing a little catering on the side as well, and started looking for, as Craigslist is actually where they were advertising to this position. So found the position on Craigslist, and part-time hours but full benefits, which was unheard of, and applied for the job, and here I am 13 years later. So it's been a great, and it worked out great with Mom when she was living, and it really was a great part-time relationship, and it still is a great relationship, but it worked out well with her doctor appointments and all her medical things that she needed to do. But it worked out really well, and still has to this day.
And so you have some sensitivity to those people walking in the door, how important just knowing where to go is, and having work and having pride in what you're doing.
Absolutely. I don't think any of us have spent the night out last night, but it's just horrific, the weather and the conditions. And when they walk in the door, you know they're not going to be in the best of spirits. So we're all about giving them a positive experience. It's also about them networking and connecting with other diners and making it happen. But in addition to the free meal, I think our daily bit is a lot about the connected with other diners and the network that's out there in the Silicon Valley. So making sure
that's what I picked up. We were able to engage them in a conversation that was comfortable, not threatening, and yet caring. And I think they can sense that. They really do sense that. Yeah. Well, how'd you learn about cooking?
Cooking started with grandmothers.
For a lot
grandmothers
of people.
were always, I had a Martha Stewart grandmother, I always called her, and she was always in the kitchen. And my mom, and but it was from a young age, eventually got into restaurants and country clubs and all the different waitering experiences, and then did catering on the side as well with another catering company. So it was a lot of food experience in my whole career of working with food. So it's kind of interesting that I fell into this whole food avenue as well. And today was Salisbury steak and mashed potatoes.
Oh boy!
I'm sure we got everything else going on.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy!
Yeah.
I witnessed that the meals are prepared with a lot of caring and lots of time it takes too. All the sous chefing, I call it.
Yeah.
All that preparation before you even put anything in the oven is amazing.
Right. Yeah, they do.
And
some of the chefs get there around 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning, so they get early starts to make sure the meal is going to be on time at 11 o'clock, and we're ready to go.
One of my fellow Rotarians volunteers a lot, and I know she is passionate about what she does, takes it very, very seriously.
Sure, absolutely.
I think she's one of those that's there early.
We appreciate that.
That's for sure. Well, way back when, this is an outgrowth of the church as a ministry. So how did that happen way back when?
Well, way back when, Our Daily Bread is a community-supported outreach program of the St. Thomas Episcopal Church in Sunnyvale. It grew out of a Bible study group that came to focus on the passage, "For I was hungry and you gave me food, I was thirsty and you gave me drink, I was a stranger and you welcomed me." Well, that phrase, those set of words, became the foundation of Our Daily Bread. We translate that into a free meal with no questions asked. They can be a stranger if they want. If they want to get to know us, we'd like to get to know them, so we try to be warm and welcoming. But we have some diners that have been there a very long time and do not say much to anybody. So that's their choice, and we don't want to try to steer them any other way. We're trying to make them comfortable while they're having their food. The program was launched in 1983. In March, the first week of March this year will be our 36th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Right.
And thank you.
So 36 years. At the first meal that we served, we had more volunteers than diners.
Yeah.
Oh.
15 to 9.
Oh my goodness.
Well, they didn't know how many people were going to show up. They had put posters out in Washington Park, and you don't know how many people are going to show. But in the first month, they averaged 15 meals a day. So probably grew over time. In the second month, it was more than double that. In the first 5 years, so we have some statistics to work with, we averaged about 125 meals a day. In our most recent 5 years, that number is 395 meals a day.
My goodness.
Our peak year was 2013, don't know why, but we served 430 meals a day to 290 guests, and I'll elaborate on that in a second. Today it's down to about 365 meals to 235 people. The difference between meals and people is we have been very fortunate in recent years, and a lot has to do with David's, bringing David on board and his initiative. We are receiving a lot of high-quality donated food from Trader Joe's and others, which allows us to offer all of our diners a second serving, a full second serving.
Oh, my goodness.
And about 50% of the people take it.
They do?
So, yeah, they do.
Goodness.
And it's a big meal. I mean, I have trouble eating one serving.
Oh, I scooped it up. I know how much it is on that
it's a lot. But, you know, if you're hungry, you know. And, of course, they can take some in their own little containers and whatever. But so over that 36-year history, we've served almost, we haven't quite hit it, 1.5 million meals. And more importantly, from a food security point of view, is we've never missed a serving day. We have always had a meal available for anybody who comes to our door for 36 years.
That is quite something.
It is.
Because we're so dependent on our electricity and ovens and all of that.
We had a big remodel through
We
that.
remodeled back in 2000, 2001. We totally remodeled the kitchen.
My
We
goodness.
brought in a kitchen in a van and lived out of that for months, actually.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I know Cupertino Rotary helped with your freezers.
Right.
That's right, just recently.
freezers and
Yes.
fridge.
Yes, we
Yeah.
get a lot of
Okay.
help. The community helps.
Great.
I want to ask David a little bit. When you don't know what kind of food you're actually going to get from these resources who are so kind to donate their
Sure.
food, how do you figure out the menus that are well balanced and can serve an elastic group of people? You don't really know how many they have to serve.
We start with the meat usually, so we'll head to the freezer because everything we receive we freeze meat-wise, and I think it needs to be frozen. So we'll freeze that, and then that gives us stock, so we know we have something to pull from if we need to do that. So usually all the menus start with the meat department and go into the freezer, and then if we get like a fresh green salad in or a donated fruit salad or something like that, then we'll incorporate that in as well. But it's kind of what's on hand and what needs to be expiration wise, and we use it up before it expires. And that rolls into also too, the main meal is created every day, but then the second meal is the meal the day prior, so we don't waste a lot of food. We're trying to keep the food out of the trash and recycle and keep it moving. So that's a great. Today we made Salisbury steak, but on Wednesday's meal was Sloppy Joe. So Sloppy Joe was the second today, and Salisbury steak was the main first one today.
Ah, that
so we
makes
try
a
and keep
lot
it
of
rolling.
sense.
It's a lot of weight, a lot less waste. So our recycling.
Well, I think all of that just speaks to how we are so sensitive today with use and reuse and not wasting
Maximum
things.
use, right.
No,
Well,
right.
I know you exist with volunteers, so how many volunteers would you have in a given day for service?
Oh, it kind of goes up and down. Today we're a little short, but I probably have a good 35, 45, 50 roughly volunteers if numbers are good and solid and people have time to help out. A lot during the holidays, but I always tell people we're here all year round, so don't forget about us on Valentine's Day or on Easter. We're still here. We're still open. There's no holiday for the homeless is what I was told on my first Christmas I had to work. I was like, what? Yeah, you're working Christmas. Anyways, we're open on the holidays if it's a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, and we make it happen. And the volunteers are really what it's all about too. The volunteers are dedicated and beyond fantastic. I mean, I can't give enough credit and positive energy, because if it wasn't for the volunteers, we would not be able to serve as many people we serve and create what we create and clean up and all the other great things that they really do and put their heart and soul into. So we're really grateful for the
we want
volunteers.
to get you more volunteers
Yeah,
That's
and money so that you can do your work.
We'd like
so,
that, too.
Chuck, wind us up with how do people get a hold of you?
You can, the best way is probably to visit us so you really begin to see the program. But and to visit us, you come to the Parish Hall at St. Thomas Episcopal Church on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday.
In what city?
In Sunnyvale. Thank you. And the address is 231 Sunset Avenue in Sunnyvale. Or you can call, and our phone number is 408
736 4108.
Thank you.
No problem.
He knows it more than I do. I don't call it. Or go to our website, which I do know, which is ourdailybread-sunnyvale.org. It has contact information on it. You can donate there. You can volunteer. You can learn more about us. But I say the best way is to come and see the operation in reality, get a behind-the-scenes tour, get all your questions asked.
That's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for being here, and thank you so much for the work you do. Nice to have you both. Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.